Hello, and welcome to A Little Privacy Please. I'm your host, Julie Rubash, General Counsel and Chief Privacy Officer at Sourcepoint by Didomi. Each week, I break down the most important developments in data privacy so you know exactly what matters and what you need to do about it. This week, we're talking about children's privacy enforcement on both sides of the Atlantic and what regulators are saying about age verification. Let's dive in. The Federal Trade Commission has issued an important policy statement clarifying how it will approach age verification under COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. Here's the headline. The FTC says it will not bring enforcement actions against general audience sites or mixed audience sites for collecting personal information from children for the sole purpose of determining age, even if they haven't first obtained parental consent. But, and this is critical, that flexibility comes with a long list of guardrails. To qualify, companies must use the data only to determine age, retain it no longer than necessary and delete it promptly, share it only with third parties capable of maintaining confidentiality, security, and integrity with written assurances, provide clear notice to children and parents, implement reasonable security safeguards, and ensure that whatever method they're using is reasonably likely to produce accurate age results. So this is not a free pass, it's a conditional safe harbor. Now, why does this matter? In 2025, the FTC amended its COPPA rules and introduced a standalone definition for mixed audience sites, those directed to children but not primarily targeting them. The rules allow collection of age information in a neutral manner, meaning you can't default to 13 plus or encourage kids to falsify their age. FTC FAQs historically emphasized self-identification, like entering a birth month and year, as the preferred method. But this new policy statement clarifies that self-declaration is not the only permissible method of age verification. That's significant because companies are increasingly facing state laws that require more robust age assurance. For example, the California Age-Appropriate Design Code Act, currently under injunction, requires businesses to estimate age with a reasonable level of certainty. As another example, the Utah Social Media Regulation Act requires at least 95% accuracy in identifying minors. Self-identification alone may not get you there. The FTC's statement helps reconcile COPPA with these state-level expectations by acknowledging that more sophisticated age verification tools may be appropriate so long as companies respect the conditions set out by the FTC. The takeaway, if you're collecting age information beyond simple self-declaration, you now have clearer federal guidance. But you also need tight internal controls around purpose limitation, retention, vendor management, and transparency. Okay, now let's turn to the UK. The Information Commissioner's Office, better known as the ICO, has fined Reddit £14.47 million for children's privacy failures. According to the ICO, Reddit failed to implement robust age assurance measures, meaning it lacked a lawful basis for processing the personal data of children under age 13. And it failed to conduct a data protection impact assessment, or a DPIA, to properly assess and mitigate risk to children. And this comes just 3 weeks after the ICO fined MediaLab.ai, the owner of Imager, for similar issues. So this isn't isolated enforcement. It's part of a broader intervention focused squarely on children's privacy. Under the UK's Age-Appropriate Design Code, services likely to be accessed by children under 18 must either establish age with a level of certainty appropriate to the risks or apply child protective standards to all users. Importantly, the UK code is not prescriptive about which method to use for age verification. The ICO acknowledges a range of options, including self-declaration, which may be suitable for low-risk processing, but also including AI-based estimation, third-party verification providers, account holder confirmation systems, technical measures to reinforce self-declaration, and in high-risk cases, even hard identifiers like a passport, though these are discouraged unless strictly necessary. In announcing the Reddit fine, the UK Information Commissioner, John Edwards, made it clear relying solely on users to declare their age is not enough when children may be at risk. Just like the FTC, the ICO allows companies to collect personal data for the purpose of establishing age, but only if they comply with core data protection principles like data minimization, purpose limitation, storage limitation, and security. So what's the common thread here? Regulators on both sides of the Atlantic are signaling the same thing. Self-declaration alone is increasingly viewed as insufficient for higher risk environments. At the same time, they are acknowledging more robust age verification tools may require collecting additional personal data, so long as companies strictly limit use, retention, and disclosure. This is the new balancing act. Companies need age assurance systems that are accurate enough to satisfy emerging state and international laws, proportionate to the risks posed to children, and tightly governed to avoid creating new privacy harms in the process. So, if you operate a platform that could be accessed by minors, now is the time to revisit your age screening flows, your vendor contracts, your retention schedules, and your DPIAs. Because regulators are no longer just asking whether you have an age gate, they're asking whether it actually works and whether you've thought through the privacy trade-offs. That's it for this week's episode of A Little Privacy Please. You can find more details on these stories in your weekly newsletter, also called A Little Privacy Please. I'm Julie Rubash. Thanks for joining me for your weekly privacy update. I'll see you next week. Until then, go enjoy a little privacy, please.